In this video, we're going to be taking a look at recreating this little cross project. And it's kind of a neat design, and we're going to be talking about specifically adding rhinestones on top of heat press vinyl material, whether that be glitter or regular heat press vinyl material, as well as putting rhinestones on top of ink if you're doing screen printing. So rhinestones will not stick to plastisol ink if you're doing screen printing. Now, rhinestones would stick to a water-based ink if you're using water-based inks in your screen printing. But most of you use plastisol ink when you're doing your screen printing, so rhinestones won't stick to plastisol ink, at least not for very long. And the same is true with heat press vinyl material, whether that be glitter material or regular heat press vinyl material. Putting rhinestones on top of that material, it just doesn't stick. The glue doesn't hold. So what we have to do is when we prepare our artwork, if we want this type of an effect, we have to prepare our artwork in such a way that allows the rhinestones to adhere to the shirt. And we have some specialized tools that are hidden here inside EasyStone that will help facilitate this process of creating our artwork to allow the rhinestones to adhere to the substrate, which in this case would be a t-shirt, and some other specialized tool to help make this artwork process easier for you. So that's what we're going to talk about primarily, but we're going to go ahead and create the whole design start to finish so you have a good understanding of some of the specialized tools here inside EasyStone. And we have one new tool here inside the new beta release 8 that we've not yet released that will help facilitate the artwork creation process even more. So we have our cross over here. Now, if we go into Wireframe Mode quick a minute, you can see our cross is actually consisting of several pieces. So what we want to do, first of all, is take our circle piece in the middle and just make a smaller version of it. So all I did was simply start dragging it, holding my Shift key. It will drag to the center, and then right-clicking to make a duplicate of it. Now I'm going to resize my cross and all its bits to 7 inches tall, or thereabouts. You know, you can kind of play with that value a little bit. And then what I want to do is take all the pieces but my duplicated circle. So we'll go ahead and select this piece, and this piece. Come to the editing tab here in EasyStone and choose Weld Objects, and that will weld them, leaving this circle. And then what we're going to do is come to the Stone tab, and we're going to choose Add Stones. And that will add a series of stones. Now, I have to determine how much space from the stones to the edge I want. And, you know, maybe I want less space. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stretch it out. Again, holding my Shift key, stretch it out. And we're going to add some more stones. So I'm going to delete this value because we don't want 22 stones. We want it to recalculate. So when I hit Add Stones, then it will recalculate. And it shows us now we have 25 stones along that path. Now, I might just drop this down 1 stone, and I'll show you why here in a moment. But now what I want to do is I want to take these stones and break those stones from the path that they're on. So we'll hit Break Stones. And then I'm going to take this stone, which is right at dead center. That's why I lowered the stone count 1. So now this stone is right dead center. And we're going to come over to the Stone Fill tab, and we're going to hit our right arrow. And then watch what this does. This is another little, just a little side point. Obviously, if we hit the right arrow, we make another circle, right? But there's some modifier keys that we can use as well. So if we hold down the Alt key and hit this arrow, then you can see what it does. It actually moves it 1 whole stone. Okay? Now, if we hold the Alt and Control keys down, then it will nudge it, but only half a stone distance. So those are the modifier keys that we have available. So we're going to duplicate the stone and then hold down the Alt key. That will nudge a full stone, and if we hold the Control key in addition to the Alt key, it will nudge, but only a half a stone. And that's what we're going to use. So over, Alt Control, over to get the nudge. Up, Alt Control, up to get the nudge. All right, so that is now what we have available to us. You can see it looks really nice and symmetrical and what have you. All right, so now the next step is to work our heat press vinyl object and cut some holes. Now we could do something really simple. We could just simply select, I'm just going to select these 4 outside stones just to show the example, and then select our cross, and then come over here to the editing tab and choose trim. We could just do that, and what that will do is that will cut a hole in our vinyl material the exact same size as our stone. But here's where the problem is, okay? The rhinestone that we're using to create a template is 4.4 millimeters, but the rhinestone itself is actually only 4 millimeters in this case because we're using an SS16 stone. So if we do it the way I just did it, then our circle size in our heat press vinyl material is going to be bigger than our rhinestone. And so what would happen is our rhinestone, you would see a tiny little edge around the perimeter of the rhinestone where the shirt color would be showing through. So what we need to do is we need to create a circle that is smaller than our rhinestones. So if I move this out of the way, you'll see it actually cut 4 circles. But again, these 4 circles are 4.4 millimeters, which is bigger than the rhinestone itself. All right? And that certainly has its place. We may actually want that effect to have a little rim around our rhinestone. That could actually add some design appeal. But in this case, that's not what we're looking to do. So we have a built-in functionality here inside EasyStone that's a bit hidden that we want to show you. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to select, so I'll select one stone, and then we're going to select by fill, create selection. That selects all of the stones of that same color. There is actually a defined path, a stone path in there as well. That's why I went through the trouble of just asking EasyStone to pick up all the stones that match that color, because then our defined path is not selected. So now we have this selection made. So, but actually what we need to do is kind of back up here. We need to go to the editing tab because we're going to trim our cross piece. So we hit mark, cut, trim, and then we'll select all of our stones, but we do have our defined path selected as well, so we'll shift select that, and that gets rid of our defined path. So now we just have our stones selected. And then what we're going to do for the trim, we're going to use a -1 millimeter. So -1 millimeter, and this is where the modifier key comes in. Just like before on our stone fill, we had the Alt and Control options. Well, with Trim Objects actually has an Alt option, and it also has a Control option as well. So if we hit Control Trim Objects, watch what happens. You don't really see anything happen. But if we go into wireframe mode, then we can see what happened. And what happened was, you see that little, we got one circle, and then we have a circle to the inside of that. Well, now we can see what's happened here. We've actually cut a hole inside our heat press vinyl material. So I'm going to go back to enhance mode, and I'm going to pull this out, and I want to show you something. I don't want to make this overly complicated for you, but I do want you to have a good understanding of what's happening so that when you go to try this project, you'll know exactly what's happening, why it's happening, and so forth. So let's, I want to break this apart. So we're going to right click on our cross and break it apart. And then we have all these other shapes. Let's give them a color. Shift page up so we can see them. Okay. So if we select one of these shapes, notice what size this is. This is 3.4 millimeters. Okay. So the original stones, if you recall, these were 4.4 millimeters. So the holes that were cut inside of our heat press vinyl material are 3.4 millimeters. So this is what we know. We know that our rhinestone itself, an SS16 stone, is 4 millimeters. So this is the hole that we cut in our heat press material is 3.4 millimeters. So our rhinestone is going to be slightly larger than the hole size in our heat press vinyl material. And that ultimately will give us this look of the rhinestone sitting right on top of our glitter material. So on each side of this rhinestone, there's 0.3 of a millimeter gap where the rhinestone is actually sitting on top of the heat press vinyl material or on top of the screen printing ink. But the bulk of the rhinestone is actually adhering to the t-shirt. Okay, so I just wanted to point that out to you, what's really happening there. So let's go ahead and we'll delete that. So here's the challenge. If we're doing this type of work, what we would have to do is we would have to weed every single circle. Now, this particular design doesn't have a whole lot of stones, but there are other designs that we might want to use this effect, and it would have a bunch of stones. And trust me, weeding out every one of these circles would be a real pain. So what we've done is we've actually created a tool, a brand new tool here inside Beta Release 8 to help facilitate the weeding process to make it a lot easier for us. So if you're doing screen printing work, then we don't have to worry about this step of doing the weeding. But when we're doing heat press vinyl material, then this extra step will be worth its weight in gold. So let's go to the wireframe mode so we can see what's happening a little bit better. Remember that stone path that we saved? Well, what we're going to do is select our stone path. Actually, before we do that, under our editing tab, we're going to mark this trim object, mark the object that we want to modify, which in this case is our cross shape. So we're going to mark it, and then we're going to select this stone path that we have left over from when we added stones. And we have this brand new function called Easy Weed. And if we click on that button, watch what happens. You see there's a little something that happened there. Let's go ahead and delete our stone path. And now you can see what's happened. We've created this little channel in between each one of these circles. So if we go Enhance mode here and pull this out, you can see this more clearly. So you see that little channel that we created between each circle? So we would have to weed these 4 circles, but all of these circles, because of that little channel that we used in between each one, now these will weed in one whole strip versus individual dots. Okay, so it really helps the process of weeding. And because the stones are so close together, you won't see that tiny little gap. And even if you did see that tiny little gap, it's pretty insignificant from a distance. I mean, you'd have to be right on top of it to even see that there's a little bit of a gap there. But from a weeding perspective, it makes the whole process much, much simpler. Okay, so that's just a little bonus tip for you on that part of it. So let's go ahead and finish this up. And what we're going to do here is we're going to go to the Stone Fill tab, and we're going to choose, in this case, we're going to choose SS10 stones. We're going to go, let's use 9. And if I right click on Island Fill, you can see it gives us 9 steps to the outside. And then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and hold on our Alt key, and we'll select everything but our original cross. Come to the Stone tab, and we're going to hold Alt, Add Stones. And we're going to add stones all the way around the design. And then we're going to get rid of certain lines that we're not going to use. And the way I'm doing that is just holding down my Alt key, selecting a few lines, and then deleting the ones that we're not using. So I'm not going to use this one. And we didn't do anything at the bottom. So we'll go ahead and delete that. And we'll delete these. And I'm just holding down my Alt key and just kind of marking over the stuff that we're not going to use. Same thing over here. Now the left and the right is the same. Okay, so there's really no need to do both sides. We'll do one, and then we'll flip it over and do the other. And in this particular design, the top part of the design is also symmetrical. So we don't really need to concern ourselves with that either. So let's go ahead and we're just going to delete that too, because we don't need that. So this is all we really need to concern ourselves is right here. And actually what I want to do here, let's go back to our Stone Fill tab. We're going to go Island Fill 1, Island Fill, and right click. And we do want to add stones to this. So we'll click on Add Stones. holding down my Alt key to detect corners. So we're going to have one continuous row, and then we'll have our heat press material. So this row right here, this first row, has 11 stones. So if we Alt drag all of these and type in 11 and then add stones, that's how we got that sunburst effect from our original design, right? So now we don't need all of our stone paths, so we'll just select the whole design and click on delete stone paths and gets rid of all of our stone paths. Let's go back to enhance mode here so we can see this a little bit better. So then all we do is just a matter of coming in here, and what I did is I selected every other stone. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and choose Capri Blue, and we'll choose the rename and fill option. And we'll just go ahead and do the same thing, selecting every other stone. Every other stone. Alright, so now the bottom half is the same as the top half. So probably what I would do is I would just come in here, we'll delete our bottom half altogether, and we'll just mirror the top half. So we'll select this top half, select one of these stones because that is right dead center, pull down this control handle, hold the control key down, right click, and then pick up from the center of this anchor stone and drop it back. So now you have the exact same thing, top and bottom. So then we kind of need to do the same exact thing going left to right. So we're just going to select all of these stones. We're going to hold the shift key and select one of our horizontal center stones. Pull, hold the control key down, right click, pick up from the anchor stone over, and now you can see we have the exact same placement on the right as we had over here on the left. And basically it's the same process across the top. So again, we would just select all of these stones. We need an anchor stone of some sort, so let's use this one. And we're just going to pull it over, right click to make a duplicate, click on it again. That gives us our rotation handles. If I hold down my control key, it'll constrain to certain angles, if you will. And then this is my control stone right here, or what I call my anchor stone. So if we pick it up from the center to center, then you can see across the top we get the exact same placement as we had along the sides. Okay. Now across the top we may want to do something a little bit different just for fun, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete a couple of stones here, and then I'm going to mimic that over here, and then maybe I'll do the same thing here. I mean, you can do this or not do this. It just gives it a little something extra, and then maybe in the middle here I'll add a couple of stones just for fun. Alright, so now we do have some stones on top of stones, so what we're going to do is we're going to select those stones and come to the miscellaneous tab and hit check spacing, and that will delete all those overlaps, and then do the same thing here. On the bottom we're going to check spacing and found 2 overlapping stones. Alright, so then to kind of finish this design off, let's go ahead and give it some glitter. So we're going to come over to the specialty tab and we'll pop open our glitter, and I think I used aqua is what I used in my demonstration. And then let's go ahead and add a weed box. So we'll go back here and right click to add a weed box, and that is the finished design. I guess we can go ahead and simulate it if we want to as well. And there we have our completed project. So I think it looks really good. You know, I think what I did I'm going to go ahead and select that Capri Blue stone. And I think what I actually did here was I think I used blue zircon. So let's try that. We'll hit rename and fill. Switch all those Capri Blue stones to the blue zircon, and I think that works better with our aqua glitter color. Yes, indeed. That is a better match as far as the different colors go. That aqua is from Specialty Materials, is the glitter material that we carry here. So anyhow, that gives us the finished look of how we created that design. And the big thing here is the special setup with that little channel to make this weeding of all these little circles easier with the new feature here, the Easy Weed feature here in Beta Release 8. So I hope you enjoy this project. I hope you try this out and try this look and see what kind of things you can do with it. But I think you'll find that will be something new and different to be adding to your capabilities. Thanks for watching.